Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, I'll announce obviously that everyone can ask questions in the chat during the event.
Sure.
Just check. And then you can see whether you'll answer during and then we'll have a Q&A at the end.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's 3. Let's see if anyone is having, I'm just going to ask if anyone's having any difficulties logging on.
I think I'm going to reach out to Protogene directly and see if he's managed to get back online. Okay.
Hi guys, Francis speaking.
Hi Francis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, dear? It's been ages.
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. I will mute myself because like I'm in a very a bit noisy background.
Place.
Yeah.
We're about to start in just, I think maybe give it another 2-3 minutes just to see if anyone's having difficulties logging in.
Okay, Protogene, I've sent you a request on WeChat. Just accept, and then maybe I can help you with your sound and logging in. Hi Sylvia, hi Tia. OG, Justina. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hello.
You okay? Hi Tia.
Okay, Kito, this is my cue. I'm going to go behind the scenes and help Protogene and everyone else who's having technical issues. I'm also recording as a backup. So this is me signing outish.
Yeah, we've got half the Teranga team today. It's just Kizito and I. It's a little bit too early in Senegal at the moment.
Yeah, it's like 7, right? 7 in the morning. Yeah.
Quite early. Hi Nana. What else do I see? And Tony. Okay.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Great. It's great to see everyone from the valley.
Yeah.
Lots of regulars. Sylvia, hey. Lots of regulars from the valley.
So most of us right now in Africa, or just curious. I know you're in South Africa.
Me, I'm actually in Shanghai.
You're in Shanghai. Well, well, when did you come back? Okay.
I'm in my little quarantine haven here. But yeah, I'm back in Shanghai. I got back 5-6 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Where's everyone else actually?
You can just post that in the chat. Just let us know where you're from. I think we can start. I'm in Shanghai as well. YC.
Okay. Wow. Cool. Okay. I'm in Shanghai as well, by the way.
Great.
Yeah, I'm right now in Hong Kong in my office. So.
Nice. Okay. So I think we can formally start. Everyone that joins will kind of just join in the conversation. But so firstly to YC, thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this amazing event about de-risking your business idea. I think that, you know, the basis of the event was looking at the fact that, you know, even in times of crisis, there's a lot of opportunity to start different businesses, and maybe you have an idea and, you know, it's a tough time economically worldwide. So this is a good time to, if you have an idea, if you had been working on a business, how do you, how do you change is possibly a different topic, but how do you then get your business from 0 to 1? So we have YC, who is the program leader of the Startup Leadership Program for Shanghai. And he's also the founder of, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce it?
爱合伙 in Chinese. It's like love for co-founding. Yeah. Love your co-founders.
Co-founders, awesome.
Yeah.
And that has about 250 startups registered. And for those who are new to Teranga Valley, a very warm welcome. My name is Kito, and there's Kizito as well, if you can see him. And we're part of Teranga Valley, which was co-founded by Isabel Hanush and Mark Gay. And basically it's a platform for like-minded entrepreneurs to get together, learn, share, regardless of where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. So we're very, very honored and excited to have YC taking us through how to de-risk your business idea. Okay, and without further delay, YC, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kit. So it's a great intro. And again, it's my honor to be collaborating again. It's my second time actually work together with you guys, and last time was back in, I think was in November. I was one of the judges at the first Accelerator competition. So and okay, so before I start, I just want to make sure everyone can see my slide. I just shared. Can see my screen? If you can see it, give me a thumb up. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So we have a lot of content today, which means we're not gonna finish everything, but that's okay. So I'm gonna pick the most important thing first, and probably I will quickly go through with the rest. So, but then I will share this this slide later. You can add me on WeChat. I can share with you, and then we can keep the conversation going even after session. Okay. So yeah. So today we're gonna talk about risk, right? So it's as you see the title, we're going to talk about risk, and we're going to talk about orientation. And the biggest risk, I would say, when you are starting a business, I don't know how many of us are in the room, the virtual room, already running a business. But I'm going to actually start with asking about that. Basically this content, what I'm going to talk you through today, I did it in offline and back in December when I was giving a lecture in CIPS, the China Europe International Business School, and that was with the alumni in a classroom, so that was not online. And so back then I asked them 10 questions. Okay, so that's gonna be the frame today, the basic frame. And the first question is, do you already have a startup idea? Or do you already have a startup business? Or do you have a plan to start a startup in your career? Well, just think about that. Okay, I assume that some of you might already be running a startup business. Some of you might have a startup idea. And maybe all of you have a plan to start a startup somewhere in your career. Maybe not now, but maybe later, right? Or it can be now, and now we have this difficult economic time. So then the big question is, if you give yourself 4 months time, and that's basically the length of the Startup Leadership Program that I've been leading for 6 years now in Shanghai. So every program goes for 4 months time. So if you give yourself that 4 months time to work on your startup, okay, it might be just an idea, okay, and you're still working at a day job. That means you still have a day job. You can only work on your startup, work on your new business idea part-time, and you have no money to burn apparently, and you have no team or co-founder yet. Okay, so you're a solo founder to start. What can you achieve within that 4 months time frame? Now, if you have an answer, just think about it, or you can think about it. If you say, okay, I want to achieve XXX, okay, if you know that, then the sort of question, okay, is how to achieve that? How to achieve that specific goal at your startup in just 4 months' time with all the constraints, right? While still working at a day job, and you don't have to burn a lot of money, and you don't have a team or a co-founder to start with all the constraints. Why we talk about constraints? Because we're going to talk about risk today. And when you are facing those risks, you are basically working on a start with all the constraints, right? Because you don't want already overcommitting yourself to your start when it's not mature yet. You want to make sure you still have a good source of income while you can spend a reasonable amount of time on the new business idea. And you don't want to overburn your money. Okay. So the first 3 questions very quick. Do you have a startup idea? Are you already running a startup business? Okay, if you give yourself 4 months time from now, and you cannot be full-time yet on a startup, and you don't have money to burn, and you probably don't have a team yet or no co-founder yet, what can you achieve in 4 months time? And how are you gonna achieve that? Okay, so the rest of the session now is all about the strategy and tactics to address the big how. How are you gonna achieve that specific goal at a startup in a 4 months time, well, with all the constraints, right? With all the constraints, okay. So a quick who I am. I'm a founder of the platform called iHehuo. So it's right now the biggest matching platform, business matching platform in China. In total, we have today 250,000 entrepreneurs and staff founders registered on the platform, and most of them are verified and business owners or entrepreneurs. And yes, I'm also the program leader of Staff Leadership Program. It's a global training program for entrepreneurs operating in 30 cities across the globe since 2006. I've been leading the program in Shanghai since 2014. Right now, we have over 200 startup founders who did the program, went through the 4 months program, and quite a few of our fellows they received investment from VCs like China Accelerator, for example, during the program or after the program. So some topics I fairly consider myself knowledgeable. Can be about startups, 0 to 1, lean, or how to pitch to investors. Okay. So again, back to the big how, right? I like asking questions, right? Because asking the right question, I believe, is a way to trigger people to think together with me, right? So it is about your business, it is about your idea, it is about what you're gonna make happen in 4 months' time, and how you're gonna make it happen. How are you gonna make that happen? Okay. So with all the constraints, right? Keeping a day job, no money to burn, and not really a team to work with. So you have to first fight alone. And probably even in the current difficult economic time, right? Even more constraints, even more limitations. Oh, they're all risks, but okay. Today we're gonna tap into the strategies and tactics on how we're gonna cope with the risks, right? Not overcommitting, not overburning money, time, yourself, but really get things effectively, okay? And back to our program, the Staff Leadership Program, I want to bring up 2 basic thinking exercises. We have a list of subjects in program, but then we have two basic moves, let's say, or thinking exercise in the program, which we always do in different classes. And I call it discover the things. Okay, in order to address the how, let's first discover a thing. And I'm gonna tell you what thing I want to discover, and then switch perspective. Okay, so the thing I want to discover is, put yourself in a thing that you're gonna pitch your idea or business to investor. It could be one investor, a group of investors after 4 months' time. That is the thing that you want to really lock yourself into, just to address a big how. Okay, think about that. You're gonna pitch an idea to a group of investors after 4 months' time. Okay, so for example, we have always end the program with a big demo day. We invite like 100, 200 people to our demo day. It's a public event, and many of them are investors. Okay, then our fellows will get each 7 minutes. So each of them will get 7 minutes to pitch their business Okay, now think about for yourself. If you're gonna do that yourself, have the 7 minutes, already after 4 months time, so you have already achieved you want to achieve. Now you're gonna pitch that to an investor. Okay, now switch perspective. Okay, you are not yourself. You are one of the investors. Okay, then you try to think about what would you be looking for in so many pitches, right? Because as an investor, you hear a lot of stuff pitched every day, or you come to event, then you hear like 7 to 10 pitches. What you'll be looking for in those stories to evaluate the value of a startup and whether it is worth your investment. I mean, if you're an investor, again, I want to bring up the keyword today, risk, right? You should be fully aware of the risk. And how would you evaluate the value of a startup and see the risk and see how far the founder has been de-risking the business? Okay, how would you do that? If you invest, if you are pro in investing in startups. Okay, so switch perspective. Now, if you are a potential investor or even like co-founder, for me, co-founder another kind of investor, right? They are even buying more into the long-term success of the startup. So both are actually investors. So if you are a potential investor and you're hearing someone pitching to you, whatever startup idea it is or a business, okay, there are 4 different questions that could be ringing in your head to be quickly evaluating the value of the startup and how relevant that is to you and whether you want to follow up with that person. Okay, now I'm gonna go one by one, but actually there's a good logical order with all between those 4 questions. Okay, first, am I having this problem myself? Or do I know any friend or family relatives who should have this problem? And second, is the working of a solution clear to me? Either to understand, am I convinced that it is a good solution? Okay, so first, do I have this problem? And second, do I understand the solution? Do I understand why you are solving the problem this way, right? Do I understand why you bring up this product to the market? Do I understand it? Do I accept it? Okay, am I convinced? Okay, third question, is the same solution going to easily, organically scale to a group of problem havers like me or my friend? Is there enough scalability in the solution you're providing? Or do I already see that you got enough early adopters who are willing to spread the word for you, right? To help you build even a bigger community network of early adopters. Is it clear that people will pay for the solution? Monetization, right? People are willing to pay, people know for which they're paying, and the service, the value they get is justified, and the price they pay is justified by the value they get. Okay, 4 different questions. If I'm an investor, okay, so first I care where the problem does exist now. And that's the thing, that is actually the thing we're gonna really dive deeper into today in the session, okay? And now I want to, because we just switched perspective, no, we discovered seeing that if we're gonna pitch to an investor, and then we switch to the investor perspective, try to look at our pitch or our start business from an investor perspective and try to understand about our business from that perspective, right? And dig into the risk side. Okay, now, if you look at this graph, and this is the graph we actually bring up a lot during the program. Any business you do, as long as it has something, it can be a small piece or bigger piece of innovation in the business. Now, what does that mean? It can be totally disruptive. It can be a technical innovation, or it can be a new business model, or it could be that you are bringing something new from one market to another. So it's basically introducing about introducing a product to a new market. Anything that is new and innovative, and the business will go through a graph like this, a journey like this, and basically you'll see two different phases. And if there's only gonna be only one thing you can remember from a session today, I would say remember this one. Okay, that's gonna be the key takeaway. So 0 to 1, and if you are running a startup business with innovation, you should be aware that there are two phases that how your business will grow. When starting from 0 means when you have just an idea. Okay, so I call it 0 to 1 and 1 to n. So in the 0 to 1 phase, there are a lot of risks, there are a lot of uncertainties. Okay, so next slide, I'm going to show you what are those risks and uncertainties. Okay, so many things are unknown, and because many things are unknown, the way you approach it, the way you are proceeding with the business is actually totally different from what you would do after this phase. So 1 to n is things are becoming more certain, right? And you know, for example, when it's in 0 to 1, many of our fellows, they are still part-time, and because they have to keep a day job, or they don't have too much money to burn, and they are minimizing the risk, right? Because things are uncertain. And after 0 to 1, things become more certain, and they can quit the job, become full-time on the startup. They can invest more money. They can even have investors become part of the business. So in the 0 to 1 phase, you take small steps and you go through with a lot of iterations. And after 0 to 1, you go with bigger steps, and you can move more linearly up faster. Okay, so if we zoom into 0 to 1, again, 0 to 1 means you have a lot of risks. You have a lot of risks. You have a lot of uncertainties, right? And of course, as a founder, I always say, as a founder, your major responsibility is to de-risk in the 0 to 1. First, you're aware of the existence of 0 to 1 phase. Not everybody is aware of that, right? Not everybody is aware of that. So if they are running a business in 0 to 1, but they do everything in a way like the business already 1 to n, and they're gonna fail. They're gonna fail big. Okay, so they are actually taking too much risk. Okay, you're aware of the existence of 0 to 1, and you know that you're running a business in 0 to 1. That's what they're doing right now, and everything you do is adapted to that phase, right? So all the risks and uncertainties, they actually exist on 4 different layers. And if you still remember, if you're pitching your idea to an investor, and the 4 different kind of questions that will be ringing in that investor's head, right? And those are mapped to those 4 different layers of risks. Okay, starting from the most fundamental one, is a problem worth being solved? Are you actually working on something that people do care about? Or enough people, there were enough, the good amount of people who will actually care, who do care about the problem you're solving, okay? And then, is the solution working? People understand it, people accept it, people are waiting to try it, and people believe in the solution just like you believe in. And is the solution scalable? You already have enough early adopters. People are waiting to spread the words for you. And the monetization part, is the business model profitable and scalable and sustainable? Okay, 0 to 1, risk on 4 different layers. And as a founder, your major responsibility is to remove all the risks, starting from the most fundamental layer. And that risk will be, you put all effort on something, on solving a problem that people don't actually recognize as a problem, or not urgent enough, or not, as an investor, maybe they don't think it has enough commercial value in solving that problem. And that would be the risk number 1. Okay, so actually today I want to give you a very practical tool to remove that risk. Okay, before you commit your effort, time, money on anything else, first de-risk on the problem itself, de-risk on the idea itself. Okay, so founder's job is to de-risk in 0 to 1, and the most fundamental risk in 0 to 1 is the idea itself. And the purpose of the 60 seconds pitch, so that is your product, the very first version of a product, right? It is not technical, it's a verbal product, a 60 seconds pitch. That's what I hope you will be able to make after this session with the tool I'm gonna provide to you. Okay, a 60 seconds pitch. You could have different versions of it. You could have 10 versions of 60 seconds pitch. But the purpose of that is to de-risk the idea, right? Is to get things certain on the fundamental layer, then you can build on that. You can work on solution, you can work on the scalability of the solution, and you can work on the monetization problem. And all those things, they should be based on the fact that you are solving a problem that's worth being solved. And you can de-risk on that. You can de-risk on that using a 60 seconds pitch. Okay, so to validate your idea is to have a pitch and see whether that can trigger serious interest and actions from a target audience. Okay, so who is target audience? Who is first, what is serious interest? Okay, so if you give your, let's say, give yourself 60 seconds and you tell about your idea and you talk about a problem and you get reactions like, good idea, sounds great, good luck, I like what you do. Now, as an entrepreneur, you should be very sensitive to, I mean, you should be able to tell what kind of response people are giving you, right? And you should be able to read the underlying message. Okay, so if people are telling you, oh, good idea, sounds great, good luck at what you do, I like what you do, those are not really very useful responses, right? Because they don't really carry information that is useful for you. And most of the time people give it because they try to be polite, or they don't want to spend more time discussing about that idea with you. I think they just want to end the conversation. Okay, and then you see some other kind of responses. Those will be the response that you should be looking for. Okay, if people tell you, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. When you tell about the problem, someone is immediately triggered. Oh, I have that problem. I'm happy you're solving it. Or a response like, I just had this very issue last night. Immediately come up with a specific piece of memory because of your 60 seconds pitch, because of you brought it up, and that immediately activated a piece of memory in that person's head that, okay, well, I just had this very issue last night, or my mom would love to have it. Immediately come up with someone that could be benefiting, could be benefiting from your solution. Or when can I buy it? Already asking for a specific follow-up. Okay, so those reactions are what you should be looking for. If you give your 60 seconds pitch and you don't get this kind of responses, then you should try to ask yourself, what is wrong? Am I really working on something interesting? I mean, many times there is a disconnect, I call disconnect, between how you perceive your own idea and how other people perceive your idea. I'm not talking about solution again. I'm only talking about problem. What you see as a problem does not necessarily, appear to be a problem in front of other people. So you have to understand, it's very important, and that's a very important skill of entrepreneurs I think, is to be able to perceive and understand what other people think about what they do and from their perspectives. Okay, so everything that's what I'm gonna share actually today is about that, the methodology and skills. You can work on that to really come up with a pitch and test with maybe 10 people, 20 people. Then you understand why they give me this kind of response. Okay, why, and use that to help you de-risk an idea. Okay, so again, the purpose of 60 seconds pitch is to de-risk the idea, and to validate the idea is to see whether we can trigger serious interest and actions from a target audience. Okay, then we said what is a target, what is serious interest. Okay, then who is target audience? Okay, everyone? Not apparently not everyone. Okay, so when you are doing something innovative, right? I'm not talking about the conventional business that you're just like duplicating from what is already existing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something new. Okay, if you're doing something new, if you're doing something, you know, you have a piece of innovation in your business, and you're pushing that to the market, and those will be the distribution of a different demographic and how you're going to approach a market. Okay, so you have people who are very early already in the very early time already together with you. I call them evangelists, and you have people who will be the early adopters of your product or service. So who will be there? Who will be the people? They're gonna come out to buy your product for the first time, even when those are not mature yet. Okay, and then you have early majorities, later majorities, and laggards. And if we're talking about validating our idea, building a 60-second pitch, and seek those serious response from our target audience, and who should be the target audience? It's actually those two, right? The evangelists and early adopters. So, and they'll be only count for like 15, 16% of the whole population. So that means if you have your pitch, wow, and then you go out pitch to 10, 20 people, and 80% of them, they don't really get triggered. That's pretty normal, right? Because you are actually using the pitch to look for those people, which counts only for 16 to 20% of the whole population. So only 2 out of 10. Only 2 people out of 10, they can be your evangelists, early adopters. So evangelists are people who will help you spread the why because they are the believers of the same thing as you believe. And early adopters are people who will be trying to buy a product, who will be trying your product service when they come out first time. Okay, so you are looking for those people. Okay, so the 60-second pitch is designed to help you find evangelists and early adopters, triggering serious interest and actions from these people, right? That's how you are gonna de-risk an idea, not committing your time, your precious time and money on something, solving a problem that does not exist. Okay, you should try to avoid that. And how can you avoid that? Is to not first work on a solution, but really zoom into a problem and try to dig out what exactly is the problem and who exactly are the early adopted evangelists for my business, right? Who are those people? And those people should get really excited about me solving the problem. And they should be thinking with me. They should be helping me spread the word. They should be willing to try my product or service when it comes out first time. And how are you gonna find those people and validate the idea is a 60-second pitch. And how we're gonna design a 60-second pitch. Okay, so now here comes the fifth question of today. How to impress someone in just 60 seconds? because you use the 60 seconds to deliver a startup idea. And what goes into a startup idea? When you say, I have 60 seconds to tell you about a startup idea I'm working on, what does that mean? Okay, so a startup idea has basically two parts. You have the problem that you're working on, and then the unfair advantage. It is a typo. This should not be equal sign, it should be plus sign. So startup idea equals problem plus unfair advantage. Which means you should never start with a solution. Well, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs because I'm running the startup leadership program, and for every batch I basically interview. We actually call it intake meeting. So I sit down with each and every candidate after they pass the first round of application. So we think after we see their online application, we think, okay, it's good that we can sit down and have intake meeting. And I basically do that personally. I do it myself with all of them. And the first thing I ask them to do is, now I give you 60 seconds and try to tell them what to do and try to impress me. Of course, many of them, they could not really. I mean, that's always something very important missing in that 60 second pitch. And the common mistake, I would say, most of entrepreneurs they tend to make is they always start with a solution. They kind of skip the problem part and start with a solution. They always start telling, okay, I have a website. I want to build a website. I want to build an app. I can do this. I can do that. But then if I put myself in the shoes of a customer, I won't really get why is that relevant to me. There is a lack of relevancy and urgency. Okay, so don't start with a solution. Instead, focus on the problem and then why you are the person doing it. Okay, but first focus on the problem. So how would you evaluate? Again, if you are an investor, again, put yourself as the investor, okay? Now, how would you evaluate the problem? If someone is pitching to you, okay, great idea, I want to make something happen, but I don't want to already sink into a solution because at first I want to make sure the problem doesn't exist. Okay, how would you evaluate the problem? Or how could you, as an entrepreneur, phrase a problem so that can clearly help that investor evaluate? So what would be the criteria for a problem that has a good commercial value to be solved? Now we have 6 different criteria to evaluate the problem, okay? So first, frequent, whether this problem happens frequently. Are we talking about problem that happens hourly or daily or not really? Okay. Urgent, do people feel that this problem needs to be solved right now or they can still wait? Okay. And cost, are 80% of the population who are right now having the problem, they find the current solution too expensive or they cannot afford the solution right now they are having. That's why they need a new solution which should be much cheaper. Okay. And popular, whether there are already enough people having this problem, and we're talking about, if I can easily imagine 1 million plus people having this problem, that would be already, that means that it is already popular enough to have people having this problem. And growth, are we talking about organic growth like 20% per year without any education, without any marketing campaign? Already 20% per year, or 20% more people per year are having this problem. Or is it mandatory? Is there any new law change or regulations coming out that you have to solve the problem in a different way? So the old ways, they are not acceptable anymore. And for example, with the new, let's say now we are kind of in the post-epidemic time in China, and of course, I mean, the regulations are different, right? There are new regulations, so this could trigger a new need, a new demand. So okay, so if you can frame the problem and try to do a self-evaluation and see, okay, on which criteria does the problem statement score, on which criteria? You don't have to score on all criteria, but it needs to be at least on one or better, 2 or 3. Think about that. Are you on something which, you know, the problem, is it frequent enough already, or is it urgent enough, or 80% of the population, they cannot afford the current solution, the current product, or is it already popular enough, or organic growth 20% per year already, or is it mandatory now to do things differently because of new regulations? Okay, and how would you evaluate your unfair advantage? So why you are the person, why you are the one solving the problem? Okay, so again, as an investor, there will be 5 criteria to evaluate that entrepreneur, the unfair advantage from that person on solving a specific problem. From the background, does that person come with a top 1% background? Okay. So this does not mean that I have to compare that person to every single other in the world then to make him really the best. No. So if you can do a quick search in your head, okay, give me something unique from the background. It might be your education, it might be your working experience in the past, the professional qualifications, but it could also be your own life experience that make you the best person solving a specific problem, because you had that specific experience in your life that gets you very well connected to the target audience, or to the, you know, get you deeply connected to the problem. Then that, which makes you the top 1% suitable person solving that problem. Okay. Or do you have access to a fast growing market? We talk about 20% yearly growth. And are you the person who has the natural access to that fast growing market? You know, the unique access to that. Not everyone else can have that, but you do have that. And that could be your unfair advantage. Or the solution. And I'm not saying that you already have the solution, but if you can convince me, you can make it convincing enough that you know how to build a solution which is 10 times better. And 10 times better means 10 times faster or 10 times cheaper than the existing one. Then that could be your unfair advantage. Or you know how to acquire early customers with almost 0 customer and the acquisition cost. And that could be your unfair advantage as well. Or you have a chance to build a monopoly. In the future, in the near future, you have a chance to build a monopoly. So you can build a competition barrier that will be very difficult or almost impossible for others to cross. Okay, for the competitors to cross. Okay, then that could be your unfair advantage. Okay, so start by idea. Don't start with solution, but then start with a problem. What kind of problem are you solving? Then why you are doing it. Okay, let's see two examples. Okay, so I'm gonna use Airbnb back in 2009 as an example. So imagine that you are the founder of Airbnb back in 2009. Okay, not now, but back in 2009 when they just started. Okay, so first, try to ask yourself, who could be early adopters, evangelists? So who is the target audience back to Airbnb in 2009? For Airbnb in 2009. Okay, And those people are different. I mean, the customers they had back then are actually different from what they are right now, what they have nowadays, right? The market segment, the customer segment are totally different. So back then, when they were just starting, and the early adopters are actually, you know, budget travelers or backpackers. And here I cross out business travelers because business travelers are not their target audience back then. Okay, so again, you assume as the founder when you haven't discovered things, you haven't validated on the target audience yet, so you assume that who can be your target audience. Okay, budget travelers or backpackers. Then you start working on, you know, put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself to try to ask, okay, build this empty map. What could they be? What they could be thinking? What they could be doing? What they could be saying? And how could they feel? Okay, as a budget traveler or backpacker, they might be thinking like, accommodation does not need to be so expensive, and hotels are standard and boring. That's what they are running in their head. And then what they're doing, they already go find free spaces on Couchsurfing, because Couchsurfing did exist before Airbnb. But then Couchsurfing offers a standard. It's basically a platform, a community, and they don't offer management service like Airbnb does, right? So those early adopters, they might be already using Couchsurfing to find free spaces, or they just find cheap but crappy hotels. Okay, then what they're saying is they're complaining about the quality and security for the with the space they found on Couchsurfing. It's not always nice. Does not always come with good quality and not always secure. And so it is not easy to find a good accommodation with a good price. Okay, then how they feel? They feel frustrated. They feel disappointed. Okay, again, you assume on that. So this is just example for Airbnb, but you can put yourself, your own business, onto this map. Okay, who are your early adopters? And if you are one of your early adopters, what do you have in your head? What do you think? And what are you already doing? What are you saying? And how would you feel? Okay, then based on that, again, we only talk about problem. We don't care about solution yet, right? Because solution can come later. And solution is something we'll develop over time. It is not existing yet, okay? But the problem is there, okay? So we should be solving existing problem, right? That's what we are de-risking on. We don't want to solve a problem which does not exist. So let's look into problem. Okay, why it is a problem? Okay, why what we said earlier with the early adopters of Airbnb back in 2009, the backpackers, the budget travelers, what they are facing is a problem. So how do we map the problem onto those 6 criteria, right? From frequent to urgent to cost to popular to gross to mandatory. Okay, then pick a few. If you think, wow, none of those criteria, the problem I have, it does not score on any of those criteria, that is a problem, right? It must be scoring on at least 1 or a few more criteria out of those 6, right? So here I pick cost and popular. I think as the founder of Airbnb back in 2009, solving the problem for backpackers and budget travelers, okay, for accommodation, okay. I think I'm actually solving a problem. First, the cost is could be the criteria for a problem, right? So, and popular. So how I'm gonna come up with a phrase that will describe very well that my target audience, my early adopters are, the cost issue. So for cost, I would say most tourists booking online care about price. Hotels are usually too expensive and cannot be afforded by young backpackers. Even if they can find some cheap options, the quality usually is bad and sometimes security is of question. Okay, and popular. And popular means I can easily imagine like over 1 million people, already a decent size of population, they are having this problem, right? So popular, I could have a phrase like this. On couch surfing, over 500,000 people have lent their couches or entire rooms to strange travelers. So people already doing something like that on different platforms. But then on the other hand, people are complaining about misinformation security issues. So there are already people, there are already enough enough people already looking for cheap accommodations, but they are complaining about what they are right now having. Okay, so enough people having the problem, and 80% of the population, they find the current solution too expensive, or they cannot get a good solution with the current price. Okay, so what is my unfair advantage? Okay, why am I doing this? So this is not about telling people already you have a great solution. It's about telling people why you think you are the good person. You are the right person to work on this. Okay, so this is a relative. So, but then think about that. Build a statement. Try to build a statement and map that on those 5 criteria. Okay, so break it down again. Then you ask yourself, do I have a top background? Or do I have access to a fast-growing market? My unique access to the fast-growing market, not everyone else could easily have that. Do I have a zero-cost customer acquisition? Do I know how to build an out-competing solution? Or do I have a chance to build a monopoly? So here I pick the zero-cost customer acquisition and out-competing solution. Okay, so how would I phrase the zero-cost customer acquisition? I probably can say something like this. We founders of Airbnb are very well connected to the community of young travelers looking for budget accommodation but not satisfied with cheap hotels. Some of them have tried couch surfing, but many are disappointed and frustrated due to the lack of management and quality control on the platform. So we already know those people. We know where they are, we know what they're doing, we know they're frustrated, right? So later on, we have a new platform coming up, and for us, it's zero cost to get those people switch to our platform, just as an alternative. And for us, yeah, so the customer acquisition cost could be zero cost for us. And our competing solution. So how would I show that I know how to make a better platform in comparison to platforms like Couchsurfing? Okay, so here's how I'm gonna phrase that. Airbnb provides the platform connecting travelers with locals. We carefully manage the information published on the platform, control the quality on the tenant, but also on the traveler side. And buy insurance. This is something I make up. Okay, buy insurance for all the spaces rent out using our service. Just as a comparison to people, you know, how they would experience the current services they already have on Couchsurfing. So we want to really do something different and better because we know the specific issues, the specific concerns people are having with other alternatives like Couchsurfing, right? Okay, so again, on the problem side, this is just an example. I hope you're gonna use this tool for your own startup idea for the 60-second pitch. So break things down. First, you break things on the 60-second pitch to problem, statement, and unfair advantage statement. Okay, then build the problem statement by asking, on which criteria do I score? And for the criteria you score, you picked, okay, then you build an individual statement, like here for cost and popular for the Airbnb problem, then also for your unfair advantage, like here for the zero cost customer acquisition and out competing solution. Okay, now here then you do the composition by cross combining the statement, right? Okay, so just do a simple math. If you have two problem statements, then you have two unfair advantage statements. So mathematically, you can have how many different combinations? Let's say if you only pick one from the problem statement and one from an unfair advantage statement, right? Then literally, you can have four, right, with different combinations. Of course, I'm not saying you have to go for all four, but theoretically, you can have four different versions, right? But here, I have two. Okay, I can combine cost with our competing solution and have one version of my 60 seconds pitch. And then I can have popular and, sorry, I have cost and zero cost customer acquisition. That's version 1. And version 2, I combine popular and our competing solution. Okay, so my first version of my, the first version of my 60-second pitch is like, most tourists booking online care about price. Hotels are usually on, hotels are usually too expensive and cannot be afforded by young backpackers. Even if they can find some cheap options, the quality usually is bad, and sometimes security is off question. We are very well connected to a community of young travelers looking for budget accommodations, but not satisfied with cheap hotels. Some of them have tried couchsurfing, but many are disappointed and frustrated due to the lack of management and quality control on the platform. Most of those people will try out our service as a potentially better alternative. Okay, so I explained why there's no good value for money in the existing solution. So relatively, the cost to find a good solution is still way too high. To find a good accommodation is still way too high, right? So we want to bring the cost down to help people find good accommodation with a good price. Okay, and those does not exist on couchsurfing. Normally not, right? People pay cheap, but they get crappy service. Okay, and we already know a lot of people are having this problem because we know those people who are already trying couchsurfing and not satisfied. So we can get them on board when we have our platform out, and those people will be trying out our service as a potentially better alternative. Okay, so cost and zero cost customer acquisition. Or I can have my second version, okay? Popular and...
Sorry. Hi,
hi.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just looking at time.
Sure, yeah.
And I just wanted to check, maybe we, in like about 5 minutes or so, maybe we could open up to some questions as well.
Oh, of course, I'm almost, yes. Five minutes, sure, no problem. Thanks for reminding, yes. Okay, so...
No worries.
Yeah. So popular, and I know you have a lot of questions, so I like taking specific questions. So the second version, again, I think you have the idea already. So you can combine. Here I combine popular with our competing solution, so I get my second version. Okay. So things like I can say like, are you using couchsurfing? Do you have friends using it while traveling? Oh, you know, on couchsurfing, over 500 million people have lent their couch or entire rooms to strange travelers. But on the other hand, people are complaining about misinformation, security issues. Airbnb provides a platform connecting travelers with locals who carefully manage the information published on the platform, control the quality on the tenant, but also on the traveler side, and buy insurance for all the spaces rent out using our service. Okay, whether they work or not, I don't know. Those are the things you should try out with real customers. Again, customers who you think could be your early adopters or evangelists, try with them and see what kind of reactions they will give to you. Are they a little bit indifferent after they have heard your pitch? They appear to be a bit indifferent, or they appear to be very, very much interested and eager to know more about what you do or sit down with you for a longer conversation. So those are two totally different reactions, right? And you should be looking for a second, and you should be trying with different people, different versions of the pitch, and get the second, serious interest or deep dives or insights from true problem havers. And that's the way to de-risk on the idea. Okay, try to improve, try the same pitch with the right audience. It can be single person, can be group at least 10 times. And remember that reactions and write on a question from different people and fine tune the pitch, okay, based on the reactions you get, and they can change a phrase in a pitch and try again. Okay, here's an example. I'm not gonna go through it, but later on I can share it again. But yeah, I can share a slide later if you want it. Okay, so quickly, I said there are 10 questions, but I already said that we will not have the time to go through all of them. So I will just quickly, yeah. So you can have a slide. That's what you're gonna see. How to deliver service to receive early wow from receive wow reaction from early customers, find early customers and distress majority, and promise a minority. Okay, define the minority's goal. Yeah. Okay. Two examples. This is what I had in Xi'an when I was coaching a group of artists, but they want to start their own business. Okay, so that's a true example. True story, and a tool to help you design this customer emotion journey in whatever the occasion you are designing. It could be a WeChat article, it could be online event, it could be online webinar, it could be offline event. And so just scalable business model. Okay. Yes. Okay. And a bit introduction about more introduction about SLP and our curriculum and the demographics. As I said, we are running many different cities, and it's very diverse and been running since 2011 in Shanghai. And we have many success stories. And we always have a demo day in the end of the program, and a lot of mentors as well. There's a global website you can check out if you want to know more about the program, startupleadership.com. And yeah, okay, so we just started batch 8, by the way, online. So every Tuesday I'm also on Zoom giving classes. Yeah, as that, I mean, anyone who should apply, you should show passion for entrepreneurship and eager to learn, not afraid to fail. That's very important, because you will fail, but you'll control the cost of failing, right? And that's what we said, derisking, control cost of failing, and open to feedbacks. You don't have to be incorporated, you don't have to have a co-founder. You can join with family business and social impact business that typically will come. It's a part-time program, only every Tuesday evenings, and we don't take equity. And by the way, it's also Duolingo, so we have 1 week English, 1 week Chinese. It's a team behind the program. And here you have my WeChat. You can scan that to connect to me. But by the way, I'm also in the group. Okay, cool. So I'm ready for taking questions.
You just mute yourself. Wow, so I see. Thank you so much. That was so profound. I mean, I think what really stuck with me was saying, don't focus on the solution. Look at the problem and the unfair advantage,
Yeah.
which I guess in many startup programs, I guess they always make you focus on how to better solve the problem. And this is like such an interesting, such a new perspective. So that's really just something that's stuck with me. And I want to open up the floor to questions.
Sure. Yeah.
I think if you want to raise a question, I think there's a fairly small group, so it's manageable. Maybe you can raise your hand, or and then I would see that, and then you can unmute and then ask the question. So over to anyone that has a question.
Yes.
Or are there no questions?
I could ask one.
Sure.
Sorry. You mentioned that there are 4 stages. Well, first of all, first mind-blowing thing that I hadn't thought about was what comes after 0 to 1, because I'm a fairly I've been an entrepreneur, and I've been in a couple of entrepreneurship programs, and most of them focus on 0 to 1. When you are at 1 and you pitch to an investor, nobody talks about what comes after that. And I think it was profound to just knowing that there's a 1 to N. That was pretty profound for me. then you mentioned the 4 stages of 0 to 1. If you're evaluating an idea,
Right.
if you're evaluating an idea in the 0 to 1 stage,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find that it's a yes for 3 of the stages. It is a monetizable solution. It is a working solution. It is a
Yeah.
problem worth being solved, but it is not necessarily scalable. It is not a $50 million idea, or it's not a
Okay.
$100 million idea.
Right.
Do you think it's still an idea that's worth pursuing?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think all ideas need to be scalable in a way that
Okay.
that reaches a lot of people?
Okay. So again, this is not a sort of universal a measure for all kind of business ideas. You know, even you talk about scalability, it's all relative, right? So depends on what you do. Depends on what you. If you have an internet business, you talk about scalability of like 10 million users. But if it's something, it could be not that amount of users you have, but still the scalability of solution here, it means that you have something that first, is the solution working? It should work for a few individuals, right? And the same solution without too much modifications, okay? Then it can work for a group of people. So people can refer a service, people can refer a product to more people. And whether it scales to millions or it scales to 10,000 or even 1,000 or 100, it depends on the business.
Nice. Well, that was very clear.
Okay.
And also I appreciate how your presentation was very clear. Thank you for that. It was
Thanks.
Awesome. We have a question now from Tony, or unless you've got a follow-up, Kizito.
No, I don't. I was about to say there's a question in the chat, and that's from Tony as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So Tony, if you can unmute and then ask your question. I think she just typed it. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. Sorry. I just like wrote down my question. So first, thank you very much for today. It was like super useful, and I'm very happy for organizing it.
Well. Yeah.
Thank you, both of you. And so my question is, for example, maybe some people don't really know about those investment forums, like, or maybe they're too much ahead of time, like you need an investor now, for example. What is another way? What would you suggest if someone needs to find investors? Like, what is the best way to go about that? And also, like I wrote, if your idea is not really innovative, you know, but you just have an idea, you want to start your own business, should we go the same way like you presented today, or is there anything else maybe you might suggest?
Okay, so there are two questions. So first, how to find investors? Well, there are different ways to find investors, right? Well, you can. There is no. You can go for forums. You can go for meetups. You can talk to people like me who are a bit better connected to the startup scene. But depends on where you are with the idea. I mean, it is. You have to think on when is the right time to talk to someone and ask him for money, right? So again, if you talk to an investor, yes, your purpose is to get investment from that person, but first question is always whether you are solving, if that investor, if that investor can imagine him or herself being your customer. That should be always the first question, right? You're solving a problem that people recognize. And if you haven't validated that, even you talk to investor, but the investor will still give you the same, the question that, okay, whether it's too early, maybe it's too early, So then for you, you need to understand what that too early means. Right. Okay. Did I answer a question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so then the second question is,
The second question was like, if you just don't have a very innovative idea, just
not extremely innovative, right?
Yeah.
Would there be another way to do it? Okay, so not extreme innovative. Okay, so it is still innovative. It is still innovative, right? It is still, again, this is all relative. So you have something new, you have something uncertain. So if you have a 0 to 1, that means you have something uncertain. It could be only for you uncertain. It could be it's for you the first time doing it. It could be that you are, like I said, I mean, you are connecting with something already existing, maybe it already existing in China, but then you want to introduce to Africa, which is new, right? Which is uncertain. You are putting something, you know, together in a new form, which is new. So as long as something uncertain, and you are going through 0 to 1 phase, right? So you are having risks, whether you are having a risk on the problem side or the problem is already more or less certain, and then you can quickly go to solution layer. It could be, but as long as you have something uncertain, you are in 0 to 1. You cannot, and if you get out of 0 to 1, that means you have removed all the fundamental risks. You have turn the business into a more certain form.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Awesome. I think the next question was from Nda. Oh.
I wasn't sure if you're on. I wasn't sure if you're on. Yeah. Nda.
Okay. Great. So I have just a question. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It was really clear. One thing I noticed about the presentation is that you didn't focus so much on traction on the ground. And it sort of relates to my question because so basically I have an early stage startup where we're trying to bring an existing technology to my own home country. And when I sort of started talking to or going to forums trying to network, my idea was that if you can articulate this idea well enough, then you should be able to find some sort of investments, probably starting with small and building up. But over time, a lot of the feedback has sort of focused more on traction. It seems that people are quite interested in verifying through on the ground traction. So I'm just trying to, I guess I'm in the funny stage where I'm sort of doing a balancing act between trying to move on the ground, but also trying to raise funds, especially when you're working in this sort of software development field. So my question, I guess, is how realistic is it to try and get at least some initial seed funding based on the merits of the idea? And I guess if we're going to go through that checklist, like merits of the idea and the team, as opposed, like, is that really realistic, or is it almost impossible to do it without actually having traction on the ground? I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to.
Yeah, well, okay. So again, the question is about raising money from investors, right? So, well, I mean, if you look at the universe, you have all kind of investors. So you can have investors who are who will be more welcoming risks, right? So if you have 0 to 1 here, and now first you can self-evaluate the business, whether you are still like 0 to 5. And that means you are still validating problem, very early stage, nothing is really sure yet, or you're more like the later phase of 0 to 1, close to 1, right? So you talk to investors, some investors will be okay to invest in business which not yet in 1, but still like validating on the monetization or even on the scalability, like what you said, the traction, the ground traction. They could be, if they like the problem you're working on and they understand solution, they say, okay, yeah, I'm okay to jumping at an early time, right? Depends on the investor. But then you will also have investors who are very well aware of the risks. So more aware of the risk, then they probably have to wait. They will wait till you are 1.2 or later stage, right? So just be aware that investors, they have different appetite for risks, okay? But then again, if you, I hope if you remember this graph and someone give you a no, let's say you talk to investors, somebody give a no, then you have to understand what that no means, right? You just don't, maybe the no means the problem does not even exist. That person does not even see the value of you solving the problem, not let alone a solution, because the problem is already not recognizable enough by the person. It could be, right? Or it could be that problem, it does exist, but I don't believe in the solution. Or that person thinks, nah, the scalability is not there. I don't think this is scalable, or the market is too niche, too small, or maybe the business model itself. So you need to be able to tell where that no is really, right? Yeah. Okay.
Follow up really quickly on that.
Sure.
Because I think one thing that I got from that was that being able to sort of understand that investors are sort of on a spectrum and not sort of looking at them as one group.
Right.
So do you have any suggestions on how to sort of differentiate and target, or any strategies for finding investors on that are on the part of the spectrum that you need to be targeting? So for perhaps very early stage.
There is no, this is difficult to have a sort of, no, I don't really have a methodology to do that. It's just like you try to talk to as many people as possible. But then in the, that's why you have this pitch, right? You develop 60 seconds pitch, and you use that as a tool also to validate the interest from investors, right? You made it clear that, okay, I'm right now here. I can show you the fact that I have validated the problem, but I'm still working on a solution, or I'm still working on scalability. Would you be interested in that? Right? You make it clear. So that's a way to make yourself, the whole process more productive and effective, right? And now then the rest of the question is, how many investors can you talk to? How many investors can you get connected to on LinkedIn, for example, right? But people will appreciate that you get right on the spot. So they know, they know what everything about, right? So that's to remove all the vagueness and get things a bit more transparent and a bit sharper, let's say. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. So I think we're quite over time. If there is like a pressing question, maybe we could have one more. But otherwise, as YC said, we're more than able to continue the conversation and actually continue the conversation on WeChat. And also we'll have a good wrap up of this on our official WeChat page. So I'm just going to check, is there like a pressing question right now? Otherwise, or can we move the conversation over to WeChat? And I think you'll have to just unmute and ask if there is one. Anyone? Okay, I see no raised hands. Awesome. So YC, thank you so much again. It has been insightful. It has been perspective changing. And it has been absolutely valuable. I think everyone has taken away a different perspective at the very least, in grappling with this early stage, trying to get your business idea across and trying to make it seem less risky in very risky times. And just want to say to everyone, thank you so much for attending. And I hope that you've gotten like really valuable information. And just in terms of the conversation, we can continue it on the WeChat group. White is in the WeChat group. If you have any questions, if there's comments, feedback, we'll also send a feedback link just so you can give feedback on that. And if you do want to be part of the Startup Leadership Program, definitely reach out to YC. I think he's given us quite a good taste of the quality of work that he does over there. And also just from the Teranga Valley team, which is Kizito and myself today, we just want to say thank you so much for coming out, and please be sure to follow our official WeChat page, and I'll send all the links in the group that we are in. If you're not in the group, please just send me a shout. and then I can add you to the group.
Great. Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Very helpful.
Yeah. We can always talk more in the group, and I welcome specific questions and or suggestions, comments. Yeah. Or you can also reach out to me to talk about more specific on the idea you're working on, the business you're working on. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone. Thank you. So okay. Bye bye. Let's keep in touch. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.